All right, there are 3 different topics that we're going to finish up with today. If we're looking on your study guide, we're over on this right-hand corner now. Burns, skin cancer, and then how things all go together. These are not in your on Schoology. I will put them up for you because I made these. The other ones the textbook makes. So I supplemented. I'll put this up for you so you can have this. If you want to go with me, we're over on page 138 and 139 in your textbook. And we're talking about burns. This is another spot that I would spend a little bit of time briefly mentioning this as in our conversation, but this is one of the things that the test from WAU was focusing on. So I want to make sure we spend a little bit of time here. I will say to begin with, if ever there was something that I would say, if this happens to me, just shoot me and put me out of my misery, it would be burns. Like if I was like burned over a large portion of my body, like 2nd and 3rd degree burns, I'm done. I'm checked out. Let me go, please. I'd rather just die. Because I've seen patients who have had significant burns, and man, it's just so tough. So tough. So they use this called the rule of 9s. Basically what they do is they take the whole body and they divide it into little factors of 9. So for example, your left arm, the front side of the arm is 4.5%, the back side of the arm is 4.5%. Your head, 4.5% here, 4.5% there. Your chest is 9%. Your stomach, torso is 9%. Lower back 9, upper back 9, front of the leg, back of the leg, each of those are 9. You add all these up, you get 99%, and you've got 1 little percent for the perineum, for the groin area. So the percentages, have you ever heard them talk about somebody who was burned over 40% of their body? Maybe because that's something they always toss out in news reports or in things like that. And basically it's just giving you an idea of how much of the body is covered with burns. Sure, it would be a lot. Absolutely. So, I mean, you have people who, again, if you just like a burning your hand on the stove, right, that would be maybe a 1 or a 2%. You're not going to get a whole lot there. But again, if you are in a fire, let's say, or in a car accident and your car catches on fire, or something like this, where larger percentages of your body can be burned, this is the way that they can figure that out. Right. Yep, they do. Yep, I promise.
Oh, I didn't see all the small ones.
Yeah, it's not as easy to see here. The picture in your textbook is actually a very good one, but I don't have it. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it. It's front and back. Yeah. Yep, front and back. Yep. So the torso is 36%, the arms are 18%, the legs are 36%, and the perineum is 1%. Are you with me? Yeah, nothing terribly exciting here, but we'll make sure you understand that that is how they percentagize these pieces. Yes, ma'am. I want you to be comfortable what it is. See, there's one question on their final that is about this, like actually calculating a piece. I think it's a waste of time for you to learn that, I'll be honest. So I'm not going to ask you about it. If I did, I would actually give you the diagram. How about that? Okay? So burns, and I will start by apologizing. I purposely tried not to find super gross things to show you, okay? But if you're a little squeamish, I don't mind you not looking or turning away or, again. So there's 3 different kinds of burns, and I'm sure you've heard this as well. 1st degree burns, 2nd degree burns, 3rd degree burns, okay? And basically those burns are determined by what level of the tissue has been affected. So 1st degree burns are simply the epidermis of the skin being affected. Sure, burn your hand on a hot pot on the stove, right? A sunburn that doesn't blister. These are 1st degree burns, okay? Painful or non-painful? Yeah, they hurt, right? They usually do, okay? You got a hand raised or answer the question? Yes? Shh, shh. How come what? Okay, that's all about those melanocytes. Remember that their job is when UV rays hit them, they produce more melanin to help protect your skin from it. So that's why. Yes?
You said it's just the epidermis and like sunburn?
Yes. That would be a first-degree burn. A second-degree burn, and again, you can see this diagram kind of shows you, is now getting down into the dermis. That's where you've burned. Sir?
So you said a sunburn that doesn't blister?
Yes.
So what about like if your hand is on the stove, that blister?
Sure. Now you're into second-degree burns. Yep, when you get those blisters that are forming, that's your second-degree burns. You're now down past the epidermis, because remember, epidermis is fairly thin, right? And then down into the dermis. And these are the boogers that really hurt. Because remember, where are the nerves in your skin? In the dermis, not in the epidermis, right? We can put the pin through our finger on the very top layer. It doesn't hurt, right? The epidermis is where the nerves are. And yeah, oh, these guys are painful. Painful. It is, because your body keeps trying to coat it with this skin, with this tissue, and you have to keep scraping that off in order for it to heal as best as it can. Like I said, I worked as a physical therapist. We do some wound care, and I worked with a number of people that had some pretty significant burns, and just terrible. Because it hurts. You're hurting them significantly. And even though a physical therapist, you have to have a little bit of, like, you're okay giving people pain because you have to push them a bit. It's beyond me. I didn't like it very much. But you do it because you have to. Yes, sir?
My uncle got a third-degree burn like all over his neck.
Yeah. How did it happen?
It was like his car wasn't working and he was with his friends. And he was fixing it and his friend thought he said turn it on and oil went all over his neck.
And caught on fire, sure, yeah. Ouch. Yeah, no fun at all. So third degrees now, we are down through the dermis. We're actually down even into the subcutaneous layers. What's cool about third-degree burns is they don't hurt. Why? Because you've literally burned the nerves off, right? The nerves that would cause you pain in the skin have been killed. They're gone. They burned, right? So initially, they're fairly pain-free. Again, often you can die from them because you lose so much blood or so much fluid as the body tries to heal itself. They're very serious. They just don't necessarily hurt until they start to heal and the nerves start regenerating. And again, this would be, shoot me. Like I've known people who have done this, and God bless them. I'm so impressed that they can do that, but I'm just not sure I could do it because man, it's tough. So that would be a third degree. First, second, third. And again, you notice it's all about the layers that are affected.
So
that's what gives them.
Second degree burns, like when they're actually happening, they hurt more than
They do. Yeah, certainly. Again, the recovery process is much longer and much more difficult for third degree. Lots of risks for infections, all that kind of stuff. But again, as far as pain goes, not as much. Oh yeah, again, if you're really into looking at some gross stuff, yeah, there's some great third-degree burns on Google you can see. Yes?
So, does the epidermis, like, the first-degree burns do or don't hurt?
They do, yeah. Right, certainly. Yeah, no, they'll stomach. Again, think about touching that stove. It hurts. It doesn't last terribly long, though, right? Maybe a day or two, and you're pretty well back to normal. Yeah. This is another picture. Yeah, boiling water, man, that's no good. Again, so just that nice redness there, the superficial third degree or second degree, you get the blisters that are forming. The deeper ones, you're actually not even going to get the blisters. It's going to be deep enough into that dermis. Because remember, the dermis is a big, thick layer, right? That you're not going to form the blisters. And then that third degree, and again, I picked a very tame one, that you are all the way down into that subcutaneous tissue. Yes?
This is Aaron's question.
Yeah.
So your face skin is more sensitive than like your arm skin. So like, what's the difference with the burns?
So yeah, certainly depending on what parts of your body are burned, it will hurt more. Yeah, sure. So again, if you're having a second degree burn on your hands or your face versus on your back, these would hurt much more. Because again, there's more nerve receptors. So yeah, certainly.
What if your skin is like harder on your hands? Would it hurt less?
Sure, if you happen to pick a place that is nice and thick, sure. Yes, but normally we don't just burn like right on our calluses, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah. Yes?
Like easier to get a second-degree burn on your like your face or neck kind of thing because it's like more sensitive?
So no, because again, the thickness is about the same. Again, the pain level may be increased, again, because there's more of those receptors there. But as far as easier, I wouldn't say that, no. Yes, ma'am?
Like tattoos that you can do or
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Some places are very painful. Though I think for some folk, like, that's the point, is that they want that pain, they feel alive. My brother is a big tattoo guy. He's got some very large tattoos on his legs, on his arms. They're very cool. I just don't know what I want to put on my body permanently, like for the rest of my life. I don't know. Yes, sir. Oh, please, sir.
What's the most painful place for you to get a tattoo?
Well, what's the most sensitive places on your body? Those would be the places you would say.
I've heard under your arm.
Sure, that's a tough one. Groin areas. Okay, I have to tell this story. You got me thinking. Talk about tattoos. Oh, by the way, where would tattoos be going down into? Would that be just an epidermis? It has to be down into the dermis, right? So again, you're going to cause pain every time, because it's needles, right? It's a little needle, and they inject a little bit of dye, and then another needle, and inject a little bit of dye, another needle, a little bit of dye. That's how a tattoo works.
Is it happening like really fast?
Sure, right. It's like a, yeah. So, as I was working as a PT, stay with me, guys. Again, you come across this whole wide variety of people. And there's this gentleman who, and again, I can say this because I am totally hillbilly. This guy was the most hillbilliest hillbilly I've ever met. Okay? And he was, no offense at all, Andrew, he was a Dallas Cowboys fan. Okay? Hardcore Cowboys rule, right? That's what this guy was. So, he was such a huge fan that he had tattooed the word Dallas on his eyelid. Spelled D-A-L-A-S. And there's two L's in Dallas. So he had that. They had to gone back. You can see they had gone back and wrote another little L in. It was hilarious. Hilarious.
That would hurt so bad.
Right. So that would kill, right? Because I mean, this is super sensitive. Yeah. He had Dallas on one. He had, I don't know if he had Cowboys. I can't remember what was on the other one. I was really just focused on the one that was misspelled. Right. Again, tattoos go everywhere. Let's move on quickly before we spend our whole period on tattoos. Yes, sir. So, right, the American Red Cross, I'm fairly certain that's one of their disqualifiers from you giving blood is if you've had a tattoo. Because the thought is the needle that they use for that could have been tainted. You could have gotten disease from it. As more and more people are getting tattoos, I can see that going away. But otherwise, they won't have anybody give blood. Yes, ma'am.
Eyeballs?
Sure. I don't know much about that one. I could speculate, but I really don't know much at all. Yeah. Sir, you can't possibly wait. All right, let's talk about cancer. Let's get away from tattoos. Let's talk about cancer for a while. If you want to look in your textbook, because there is a nice piece on cancer in your textbook that is over on page 132. And they really kind of divide the cancers into two. And again, we're talking about skin cancers, right? We're not talking about cancer anywhere else. We're just talking about skin cancer. They divide it into two different pieces. This cutaneous carcinoma and the cutaneous melanoma. You with me? So the cutaneous carcinoma comes from regular exposure to the sun. So this is the person who every year you go out, you get that nice tan, that goes away as the year goes on, in the summer you go back, that regular exposure, right? And that is just basically going to be breaking down that simple that stratified squamous epithelium, the UV rays hitting it over and over and over again, cause a change, you get cancer. Relatively slow growing as far as cancers go. Usually they can come right in, just cut that piece off, life is good.
Oh, they can just cut that bump off?
Yeah, usually. Again, as long as it hasn't spread too much.
So if you touch it early?
Yeah, absolutely. The second kind is the malignant melanoma. Melanoma, like melanocytes, right? Like that produce the pigment. So you notice the difference between this and this, right? Can you see the difference is the color, right?
Yeah.
This is much darker. Again, because it's the pigment cells, the melanocytes that are now going crazy, right?
Is this one more easy to spread?
It is. Much easier to spread. This comes from high-intensity, short-duration bursts. So again, you're someone who doesn't go to the beach at all. You go to the beach, you get fried, right? It happens. That's when you're more likely to get that melanoma to start. Because again, the melanocytes say, oh my word, all this UV, we got to protect ourselves. And so they start producing, and they get freaked out. We cool? And that is much more fast-growing, much more aggressive. Yes, sir.
Oh, why do sunburns hurt so much? Is it because it's trying to produce so much melanin, or is it?
No, it's because you've burned down into the dermis usually. If you got that nice blistery kind.
Or if you're just red and it's tender to the touch. Is that just
Sure, right. Again, your top layer, your epidermis, and the very, very maybe top piece of dermis. Yeah. So again, just very sensitive, very painful. Yes, ma'am.
Is that what melanocytes really look like?
No, they're just making a diagram.
I don't know if it's
It does a bit, you're right. Little frog eggs. Okay? So, the key thing for you, how do I prevent skin cancer? Sunscreen, right? And I apply it once in the morning and I'm done, right? It is every 30 minutes. It can be more than that depending on what you're doing. Yeah, right, that often? Really? It is. Okay?
Wait, that never works.
Right, sure. You're just getting yourself more set up for this kind of piece. Certainly.
Wait, can you
Excuse me.
from doing a tanning bed and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. A tanning bed is just simply shooting UV rays at your body. That's all it is. And your body says, oh my, I got to protect myself, so I start producing more melanin, i.e. you get tanner.
Yeah, but then it can also...
Of course, yeah. Okay? So there's a very simple acronym they use, A, B, C, D, E, to help us recognize whether things are cancerous or not. If you're looking at a mole, how can you know, is this cancerous? Let me finish this up. Good question. Stay with me, guys. The first is A for asymmetry. In other words, if you draw a line through the middle, are they the same on both sides? Okay? If they aren't, that's asymmetric, right? If they're the same, that would be symmetry. Asymmetry would be it's not the same. B is the border. The edge of a melanoma tends to be uneven, crusty. It's not this nice regular bump that a normal mole is. Shh, stay with me, guys. You checked for the border. Is the border irregular? Yeah. No, we prefer it to be nice and regular, nice and smooth. It's on here.
Where should we put this in the...
Skin cancer. C is for color. Healthy moles are uniform in color. In other words, the whole thing is like the same color. Whereas you have got a variety of colors in a cancerous one. And especially white or blues, they say are not good things. Yes? Right, this is how your kind of warning signs or identification, sure, of cancer. And again, I'll put this up on Schoology for you. D is the diameter. The melanomas are usually larger than a pencil eraser, right? Well, this doesn't really have an eraser, but usually larger than this size, right? Whereas normal moles are usually smaller than that. And then E, your textbook has elevation, but all the pictures I found all had evolving. So is it raised, or is it changing over time? And I think that's why they moved away from the raised, because a lot of things are raised. The E for evolving, it's changing. That here's the one spot at one moment, here's another spot, that same spot 2 months later. And if you've ever been to a dermatologist for a skin cancer check, which you guys are probably too young to have done that, but they'll take a picture of these certain moles or whatever they're worried about, and then when you go back in 6 months or a year or 2 years, they'll compare to see have they changed. Sir?
What's the melanoma?
Melanoma means a cancer of the melanocytes.
Okay. And then also, why are they so worried about moles?
Because that's usually a sign that something is not correct. So a mole by itself is just an extra amount of melanin there, like a freckle, but that can turn into a cancer. So that's often one of the first signs, is that you've got these changing of shapes and stuff. Again, the same thing. It's just an extra concentration of melanin in one spot. But again, that usually stays the same. It doesn't go through these changes like this.
Why doesn't the melanin, like you get tan during the summer and then you lose your tan throughout the year, so why doesn't the melanin go away?
Again, these melanocytes are still producing it. It's just like they're just turned on more than other places in your body.
Okay.
Sir?
You know how you said they take pictures?
Yeah.
If you went back in like 6 months, wouldn't it be like too late?
No, I mean, usually it's not growing that aggressively, that fast. No. Skin cancer is usually not something that like overnight suddenly your whole face is covered. No. I will, yes, I'll put them all there. Do I have more here? No, that's it, good. Questions, or you all are good? Yes, we've only got about 5 minutes though. Yes? How do you avoid getting skin cancer? Sunscreen, how else? What else can you do? Wear a hat, stay covered, right? Okay, sunglasses are certainly good for your eyes, because the UV light affects your eyes too.
Oh wait, is it true that people with blue eyes are like more sensitive to the sun?
I think that could be the case. I don't know for sure.
How do you know if your eyes are sensitive?
I don't know.
They're just like nervous?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Are we good? All right, let me show you this. We'll talk more about this. Well, let me stop this.